I had Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, on this podcast, and she spoke a lot about the type of partnership that you've done with her, which is like outside of the show, the As Ever brand. So is that the type of, I'm just trying to think about the mix and the various different parts of the business. Is that more of the direction that you'll go in that will set you apart from the other platforms?
Yeah, look, I think what we have is cultural relevance. YouTube does too, but I would say that we have cultural relevance in a way that most outlets do not. That when you go to a dinner party and someone says, "Oh my God, did you see?" The chances are they have Netflix and they can go home and push play and watch it. Yeah, that's a very big thing. And in fact, I think one thing we learned early with Meghan, she has remarkable influence. Remarkable. So when we did the documentary on her and Harry, the trailer, when we ran the trailer announcing it, hundreds of people broke down every frame of the trailer and
we note it. We're seeing this on a micro level right now.
and the $20 shoes that she got from a village that was making these shoes sold out all over the world. And the $1,500 blanket that was on the chair sold out all over the world. That's some power. That's some influence. She has incredible power and influence. You could put, and I think that, so that for me, it's like, okay, well, how can we enable this to be a more holistic thing? Yes. So that's what that relationship is.
But I mean, the consumer products business is a very different thing, right? Yeah. For you guys to go from having the data and understanding that a trailer with those two can do those type of numbers and then have the commercial impact to actually starting a brand, a physical
and by the way, and the documentary
product
itself was also one of the most watched documentaries we've ever had. Wow. So it was successful by every measure. Now, I don't think that you can have a consumer business if you don't have a consumer products business, if you don't have a great entertainment business. So that's got to come first.
It's got to come first.
It's one funny thing. I don't think much about legacy.
You don't?
No.
Picture this. Emma Grede, the powerhouse entrepreneur behind Good American and Skims, sits across from Ted Sarandos, the co-CEO of Netflix, on her Aspire podcast. Now, Emma's no stranger to the Sussex circle. She's interviewed Meghan before, and she knows exactly how to ask the tough questions. So when she pressed Sarandos about Netflix's consumer strategy, specifically mentioning Meghan's lifestyle brand As Ever, she wasn't just making small talk. She was connecting dots that most people miss: how celebrity-driven brands intersect with entertainment platforms in ways we're only beginning to understand. But here's where it gets interesting. Sarandos didn't deflect or give some corporate non-answer. Instead, he leaned in and gave us one of the most revealing insights into how Netflix really views the Sussex partnership. He started by talking about Netflix's greatest advantage, and it's not what you might think. It's not their technology, their budget, or even their global reach. According to Sarandos, it's cultural relevance. Think about it when you're at a dinner party. What happens? Someone mentions a Netflix show, and suddenly everyone's either seen it or adding it to their watch list. That's the power Sarandos is talking about, that moment when entertainment becomes conversation, becomes shared experience. But then he took it further, and this is where Meghan comes into the picture in a way that's going to surprise a lot of people. Sarandos didn't just acknowledge Meghan's influence, he called it remarkable. And when a Netflix co-CEO repeats a word like that, you know he means it. But here's what's truly extraordinary about what he revealed. Even a short trailer featuring Meghan and Harry created what he described as an intense global reaction. We're talking about audiences dissecting every single frame, analysing every detail, turning a simple trailer into a cultural phenomenon. Now, I've covered a lot of celebrity news, but this goes beyond typical fan engagement. This is about something much more powerful, the ability to capture global attention and hold it. And then Sarandos shared something that perfectly illustrates the Meghan effect in action. Remember those items that appeared in their Netflix content? We're talking about handmade $20 shoes from a small village somewhere in the world and a $1,500 blanket that was simply draped over a chair in the background, both sold out, worldwide. Let that sink in for a moment. A blanket that appeared for maybe seconds in a Netflix production sold out globally. Handmade shoes from a small village became an international sensation because they were associated with Meghan and Harry's content. This isn't just celebrity endorsement. This is something entirely different. This is the ability to shape both cultural conversation and consumer demand simultaneously. Sarandos recognized this as demonstrating Meghan's unique power to influence at a level most people can't even comprehend. For Netflix, this represents something unprecedented in their business model. They're not just creating content that people watch and forget. They're creating content that drives real-world economic impact, that influences purchasing decisions, that creates global market movements. Now, let's talk about what this means for Netflix's actual business strategy, because Sarandos got very specific about this. He emphasized that the Harry and Meghan documentary became one of Netflix's most watched productions. And when he said it succeeded by every measure, he wasn't just talking about viewership numbers. He was talking about cultural relevance and commercial reach combined. This is where the conversation gets really interesting for anyone trying to understand how modern media companies think about partnerships with figures like the Sussexes. Sarandos explained that Netflix sees their Sussex partnership as something that could evolve into what he called a more holistic approach. What does that mean? It means combining entertainment success with consumer impact in ways that traditional Hollywood partnerships never could. Think about it, most celebrity partnerships with streaming platforms are pretty straightforward. Celebrity makes content, platform distributes it, audiences watch it, everyone moves on. But what Netflix is describing with the Sussexes is fundamentally different. They're talking about a partnership where the entertainment content drives consumer engagement that extends far beyond the screen. Where a Netflix production can influence global markets, drive purchasing decisions, and create economic impact in ways that blur the lines between entertainment and commerce. For Netflix, this isn't just about having successful shows, it's about having content that shapes culture in measurable, profitable ways. And according to their co-CEO, the Sussexes offer both record-breaking content and the unique ability to drive global consumer engagement. Now, here's where this story gets even more interesting, and it's something I think a lot of people missed. Sarandos's comments came after what he undoubtedly knew was a summer full of media inaccuracies about Netflix and the Sussexes. Remember all those reports claiming Netflix was unhappy with their partnership, the stories suggesting they might not renew, the speculation about dropping them entirely? All of those stories had to be walked back when Netflix revealed new projects were already in development. But here's what's fascinating. Instead of just letting those corrections speak for themselves, Sarandos chose to go on record with Emma Grede to set the record straight about how Netflix really views this partnership. His words weren't about damage control or managing controversy. They were about measurable influence and cultural power. When he talked about the Sussex partnership, he wasn't defending it, he was celebrating it as a business success. This tells us something crucial about how these partnerships actually work versus how they're often portrayed in the media. While tabloids focus on drama and speculation, the actual business leaders are looking at data, at cultural impact, at measurable results. And according to Netflix's co-CEO, those results are extraordinary. The cultural conversations, the global reach, the consumer impact, all of it translates to real business value for the platform. This disconnect between media narrative and business reality is something we see repeatedly with the Sussexes. While certain outlets focus on controversy, the actual business partners are seeing results that speak for themselves. So what does all of this tell us about where the Sussex-Netflix partnership is heading? First, it's clear that Netflix sees this as more than just a content deal. They're looking at a model where entertainment success drives broader cultural and commercial impact. That's not something you abandon. That's something you build on. Second, Sarandos's emphasis on cultural relevance suggests Netflix recognizes that the Sussexes offer something unique in their catalogue. It's not just about having big names attached to projects. It's about having figures who can create the kind of cultural moments that translate to business success. The example of items selling out worldwide, just from appearing in their content, demonstrates a level of influence that most celebrities simply don't possess. That's valuable not just for individual projects, but for Netflix's broader strategy of becoming more than just a streaming platform. Third, the timing of these comments is significant. This wasn't a planned PR statement or damage control. This was a business leader speaking candidly about a partnership's actual value during what appeared to be a broader strategic discussion about Netflix's consumer approach. For anyone trying to understand how major media companies really view partnerships with figures like the Sussexes, this conversation provides rare insight into the actual decision-making process. It's not based on tabloid narratives or social media speculation, it's based on measurable cultural and commercial impact. The Grede Ted Sarandos conversation gives us a fascinating glimpse into how Netflix's leadership really views the Sussex partnership not as celebrity content creators, but as cultural influencers with unique power to drive both conversation and commerce. When media narratives drift negative, the reality from Netflix's leadership looks very different. For Ted Sarandos, Meghan and Harry aren't a liability. They're what he called an undeniable force shaping culture, commerce, and the future of entertainment. That's all for today's episode of Meghan and Harry Tales. I'm Adrian, and we'll see you next time.